So here we are loaded into the game, Lurlian. This is the final qualifier for WCS EU Challenger Division. We've just got out of a very fun PvZ. We're going into a TvZ, Aliens versus the Humans, which is probably the oldest sci-fi story that ever was wrote. It is a fun matchup. In the bottom left position, we have got the blue Terran player from Team Fnatic. It's Naama.
Naama.
And his opponent in the top right, we have the pink Zerg. It is Jona.
It is our pink Zerg. And Jona, he's going to be going for the extractor trickery here. I'm not really sure why he did that, since he... Okay, never mind. I'm not going to go into detail about that. But Jona, in the top right, indeed, is a Dutch Starcraft 2 player. Like I said, he's top Master League. And he's going to have a pretty tough time against Naama. Naama, of course, very well known internationally. One of the better Terran players in Europe. I don't want to say the best, but definitely out there. Definitely up there in the rankings. Probably amongst the best 10 Terran players in Europe. I think that's pretty safe to say. But Jona, on the other hand, he's had a pretty good run himself. He was able to beat LoL vs XD, the Zerg player that we cast earlier. And LoL vs XD, he was really good. Don't you agree, Medals? He was looking so strong.
Yeah, he was looking really strong. He was doing incredibly well, incredibly nicely. So, really surprisingly eliminated him. But as we've got in this game at the moment, Naama getting down a barracks, which is to be expected. Meanwhile, Jona taking a hatchery first. Very normal build, very normal style, everything going as expected. And I like standard play. I think there's nothing wrong with it. It just means that you're going to get into the mid game quite happily. But, Naama taking a gas quite early on. What do you reckon that gas is going to be for, Lurlian?
Yeah, it's one of those delayed gases that Naama is taking here. So I'm thinking it's going to be a command center into a... Well, I always feel so iffy when I'm making predictions for a race that is not Protoss. I could be so wrong, and people would laugh at me. But I think we're going to see an early reactor on the barracks, or a super quick factory after the command center has gone down.
I think it all depends on what Naama's trying to do and wants to achieve, to be honest. It could be a reactor. That's one thing that can nicely come down, just to be a little bit more safe when taking the expansion, especially before the scout. But that SCV sitting just outside of the natural. And there is the reactor going down there for Naama, as to be expected.
I can breathe again.
You can breathe again. I sided with you there. I was like, it should be a reactor. So I was going to take half the flame for you there. Just in case we were wrong, but for the moment, nothing too scary going on. We do have the bunker
Actually,
getting
that's pretty
placed.
scary.
Yeah, that bunker is quite scary, but it should get scouted. There's also a grand total of 0 Marines anywhere near it, so it could just be a little bit of mind games.
Yeah, that is definitely more than just a bit. There's 2 Marines out on the field, and they're at his natural, so this is as fake of a bunker as you could possibly have. Naama trying to fake Jona out a little bit, but Jona's gonna keep his cool. Initially, he pulled 3 workers, and he was like, wait a second, your Marines are back at home, chasing my overlords away. They are not moving across the map to go into this bunker. I can just go back to mining, and he's keeping his head very, very cool.
Now, I like this, following it up with a factory. The command center is being made in the main, but if any scout went down, wouldn't see it at the natural base and could throw off Jona a bit more. So Naama really trying to get into his opponent's head. That bunker is down. It forced a couple of Zerglings early on. And 6 Zerglings early isn't actually something you really want against Terran. You don't want really any Zerglings early, aside from maybe 2, perhaps 4 for scouting. And therefore, just small little leads at the expense of a bunker getting cancelled. So no big problems there. Meanwhile, the factory is landing on that reactor. We see the starport is getting constructed. Some Hellions are going to be hitting the field shortly. And a drone barbecue is what Naama is hoping to be attending in the near future.
Yeah, a lot of drones is what he's going to be looking for with that. How many is he going to be able to take? That's the question. We'll be finding that out pretty soon. We do have gas mining, of course, started for Jona now. He has harvested his first... 100 gas, but...
He has.
He used it on speed, of course, and that's just now finished up.
It has now just finished up, which of course is a nice point to get. It means that defending against these Hellions will be easier. One Zergling does scout it in the center of the map. Unfortunately, will die for his knowledge, and as a result, 10 more Zerglings are on their way forward. The third base getting trying to taken by Jona at the moment. Meanwhile, Naama has successfully secured his natural base. We can see that the first medevacs are starting to hit the field. More Hellions just creeping their way out. We've got 4 at the moment, a 5th on its way, but those Zerglings are going to be out shortly, so nothing too much to be concerned about. These two should be fine. Naama will put on a little bit of pressure with those Hellions, but with 6 out, he can poke. He just needs to make sure he doesn't lose them because they're there for the map dominance.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're there to establish map control, keep the creep spread within reasonable bounds, and maybe roast a few drones. More Hellions keep on coming out. Naama is going quite high up on the Hellion count. Maybe we will see him get an armory and use those Hellions later on, or maybe he's going to try to actually get some economic damage done.
In comes the drop, Lurlian. Sorry to interrupt you there, but as you can see, the Zerglings are going to stop that very effectively. Really nice by Jona.
Yeah, that drop had no chance of succeeding. I mean, it flew past that Overlord, so Jona saw it coming, had his Zerglings in position, but that might open up a window where the Hellions can harass a little bit at a third.
Yeah,
there's one drone there. There's one drone there, Hellions. Go get it.
That one drone is just thinking, why did I take this job relocation? Like, they said I could go to the New Frontier. It was not worth it in the slightest, and therefore these Hellions could cause a bit of pain, but for the moment this drop is so desperate to try and do some damage and is unable to achieve anything for the time being. The Hellions are going to try and sneak past this Spine Caller though, straight into a wall of Speedlings, which means that they quickly turn tail and get out of there. The drop is unable to go down for a third time, and therefore not too much is going to get done. That drone finally dies, taking the grand total of workers killed for Naama to 1.
Yeah, the first worker dying off for Jona in this game. Jona trying to go for the surround on the Hellions. Is he going to get it? Oh, yes, he does get it. And that's going to be a lot of dead Hellions. It's going to be a decent trade for Jona there, taking out that many of the Hellions. It's going to give him back map control a little bit. There's 2 more Hellions, actually 1 more Hellion out on the map, and Hellbats have been starting to hit the field. So we're going to see a pretty interesting army composition here out of Naama. Looks to be Hellbat Marine.
And that is a very nice composition. Very strong, especially against this Zergling Baneling style that we're seeing at the moment. We've got the 1-1 upgrades coming up. The Spire already getting started here for Jona. Of course, Ling Bling Muta used to be massive in Wings of Liberty, then kind of phased out. But now, really the current metagame of ZBT, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much 90% of the games I've cast recently have that. We've got the 2 Hellbats coming to drop into the main base, though. The defense is not here at the moment. We're going to see some roasted drones and no instant reaction from Jona. They're just pulling them back, and not too many workers actually went down. Only a single worker died there.
That could have been way worse. Naama is trying pretty hard to kill workers, but has only succeeded in killing 3 so far. 3 queens are going to be coming in here, and that's going to scare the medevac away. The medevac down pretty low on HP, 54 right now, as we see an Overlord out of Jona making its way across the map to go for some more scouting information. Here come the Hellbats again, dropping behind the middle line, killing another worker. He is disarming the economy of Jona, 1 drone at a time.
And I don't think this is really doing enough for Naama at the moment. Jona isn't really too bothered. Yes, it's wasting some mining time, but Jona's been defending these drops so incredibly effectively, Lurlian.
Yeah, he has been, and he's going to force the lift off on another drop there in the main base. The Queen is working away at the medevac, and now the Hellbats are so low on HP. As soon as they get dropped out, he will lose them, so he's going to have to keep them there and maybe drop them sneakily later on to heal them up a little bit. Naama has attempted to do significant damage with his drops, but hasn't really been able to, and now the Mutas are about to hit the field.
And those Mutas are just going to shut down the drops even harder, but Naama moving across the map with a handful of Marines, Marauders, and Hellbats. That medevac getting chipped away at from the Bouncing Glaives. We see the Hellbats do get dropped out, but they're incredibly low, and therefore will not be able to achieve any more damage. But this push from the Terran is heading straight towards the third base, and at the moment, Jona is keeping all of his attention in defending the main.
Yeah, he was paying so much attention to defending those drops that he was not quite ready for this big army that is moving in here. His Mutalisks are now out on the field, but it's only 6 of them. That's not really a scary number.
It's not a scary number at the moment. We've got Baneling speed coming down, but that's nowhere near going to be done. The Mutalisks are trying to move forward, but the Marine count looking quite nice already at 37. In forward, waddle the Banelings. On creep, they're quite fast, but not fast enough. The Hellbats soak up a lot of their detonations. Good splitting from Naama. Jona is taking a tremendous amount of damage here, desperate to try and get out those additional Speedlings, but will it be enough, Lurlian? I just don't think so, and nor does Jona, and the GG is called, and game 1 goes to the Terran.